everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something different but still tied to what the topic of track and field is in the United States. And so I want to break down something that isn't talked about enough, and that is how the new US tariffs might actually impact USA track and field, or let me just call it USATF, okay? Now, at first glance, you might not think international trade policies has anything to do with sports. I get it, but trust me, it does. And the ripple effects could be bigger than what most people realize. So here's what's going on. The US has recently imposed a new wave of tariffs, some as high as 145%. I know that's crazy. And that's from China. And it's on imported goods from countries. Again, you got China on the list. You have Mexico and Vietnam. A lot of the gear our track and field athletes rely on. You have spikes, uniforms, warm-up gear, and even training equipment, yes, is manufactured overseas. These new tariffs mean that importing those items is now going to cost more. And when those costs go up, someone has to pay for it. I'm not sure it's gonna be you or me, but hey, guess who's gonna pay those costs? Yes, higher prices for athletes, for teams, or even for the governing body, USA Track and Field. But it doesn't stop with the athlete's gear. Think about this for a minute. All the behind the scenes stuff needed to put on a national event. I took notes on this. You got the timing systems, stadium infrastructure. You guys, please put what you think is gonna be impacted in the comment section, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head. And you have small things like tents or scoreboards, because hey, we don't manufacture those here, and there's no one in factories making that type of equipment because the cost of labor in the United States is way too much. Therefore, a good chunk of that is also sourced internationally. And if those prices rise here due to tariffs, it puts pressure on event budgets. USATF might have to scale things down or even raise registration fees just to break even. And that could impact new things that is up and coming in the future. It could impact how many athletes show up or how fans experience the events. Hopefully it doesn't go to a very bad point. And this is all conjecture to get us talking about it early before it might get out of control, because failure to plan is planning to fail, right? That's a quote by Benjamin Franklin. All right, now let's talk sponsorships, because that's important. Many of our athletes and teams and organizations, key sponsors are large global companies like Nike, that's the biggest one, Toyota, and others, who could also be affected by these tariffs in your own supply chains. And if those companies tighten your budgets because of rising costs, they might reduce the amount of money you're pouring into sponsorship deals. That's money that would otherwise go to supporting athletes, building programs, XYZ, and at the end of the day, it's growing the sport that will be impacted. And here's something that really matters. Yes, accessibility. Rising costs trickle down. And if it becomes more expensive to get the right shoes, the right training tools, or even to attend qualifying meets, it's going to hit hard. It's going to hit young up and coming athletes the hardest again, especially those from underserved communities. We might risk losing out on the next great talent simply because the financial barrier to entry gets way too high. So I think what USA Track and Field needs to do is be proactive and be prepared, but I also sense that they will be okay. There shouldn't be that much impact, but I do want people to kind of play the game theory of what might happen that is bad in terms of the worst case scenario, because again, if we plan ahead, we don't have to suffer the consequences, just like 2020 coughing event, you know? So USATF, they'll likely need to get creative. That could mean looking for domestic manufacturers, forming new partnerships even. Maybe there will be less tariffs if those goods are manufactured somewhere else in another country like Mexico or Canada. Or even USATF could try lobbying for exemptions. Who knows? If they are nice to the current president, it could pass. Whatever the case, it's clear that what happens in politics and trade doesn't stay in politics and trade. It impacts everything, even the track. Now, outside of track and field, I want to tell you guys and share this funny story. So I was going through Sprouts yesterday, and We've had this whole egg shortage for a long time, probably for the past 4 or 5 months. And I suddenly noticed the price of eggs kind of dwindling in cost. But right next to it was the meat and the steaks that I typically get. And guess what? I saw the steaks as high as 25% higher. And now I was scratching my head and saying, this doesn't make sense. A lot of our beef is domestically grown. So why are we seeing lower prices on eggs and higher prices on steaks? But that's for another issue. I do want to flip the script around, and I want to have a balanced perspective. I do think tariffs is a way for us to tell companies and countries that, hey, we don't want to be ripped off as the United States. We want some type of balanced and fair agreement. We can't just be buying all this stuff from China, and you guys are putting a lot of crazy tariffs on our goods that we might possibly want to create here and ship overseas. So I understand that point. Also, I want to make this balance that this could be a good negotiation deal. We might see lower costs in a lot of things. In certain states that you guys are in, you might have noticed the price of gas come all the way down. I'm in Texas. I do know in certain areas the price of gas has gone further lower compared to the previous administration and certain foods and such, but we have yet to see what the next few years or next few months could be. But I always say be optimistic. Even though we might be going through this situation in track and field and in the country, I do want us to feel assured that we have the best minds in the current administration. Hopefully, keep our fingers crossed. And if things don't work out, I would say, as a person who's big on family planning and financial planning, always be prepared, because you never know. We might do good and we don't have to worry about all this nonsense, or we might do even worse. But hey, it goes back to that statement by Benjamin Franklin: failure to plan is planning to fail. And that's it for my rant, guys. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.